Good afternoon, friends. Let's proceed further with the next topic that I'm going to discuss on what are the various factors affecting the reliability. Now, why this particular topic for discussion? Thing is that you are responsible for your questionnaire, right? Now, when I say I'm responsible for my questionnaire, I mean that I have conducted my what I would call it as the ROL number one. I have the person who have done my ROL number one, and from here we know that we go ahead and we select. I'm not talking about gaps and the other features of my ROL. However, I identify. What do I identify? The variables that I want for my own study. Now, if I have taken care of this one, then from here I am seeing what are the various relationships that is present between these variables. Then I go ahead with what I call it as set out my research questions number one, or from the research questions I go ahead with the what I call it as my hypotheses, and or let's say that from here I move ahead with the objectives, and from the objective I am moving towards the hypotheses also side by side. Correct? This is what. Now, once this has been done, what do? The fifth step is that you go ahead with the designing of your questionnaire, right? So at the level of this particular designing of the questionnaire, you should be able to understand that the questionnaire is number one for you. That is something that you will have to take it for granted. Then comes the part of it is the reliability, how reliable it is, number two. Number three, then comes the respondents. You cannot say that yes, respondents will be wrong or they will not, because you are the one who has designed the questionnaire. So reliable test will become much more easier for you. However, before you even go ahead with the reliability, look at the various factors affecting the reliability. This is like a cheat sheet for you. Number one, there are two sets that I'll be showcasing to you. Keep them in front of you and see when you are designing, are you taking care of these points also or not. Number one, you can have a look at and see the wording of your questions. This is number one. You will have to remember that yes, the way you are framing your questions is in such a manner that the other person is able to understand them. Now, I do see again, as I keep repeating, some of these scholars who call me up, especially when they are doing their qualitative research, they frame their questionnaire and they go ahead and they say that the respondents is not able to understand my questions. So that becomes very difficult. That's number one. That is where you will have to see the wording that you are taking care for your question has been done in a very simple form. Do not make it a complicated one, as simple as possible. That's number one. Number two, I have even seen that when you are framing the questions for the experts, okay, now experts come from the domain of academics, they are coming in from the industry also sometimes, and they are trying to understand different industries are available. Some of them really are good at the communication, especially in corporate or multinational companies, I'm telling you. Or even if you go to the departments of journalism, mass communication, literature, then I would even say law. Now there the language is so important that they really pinpoint and say कि आपने जो बोला था इसका मतलब तो ये नहीं था. You see, even the litigation, the manner they are going to argue, it is exactly, and the words really become very important for us. So at that time when you are dealing with what I call it as experts or judges, be very careful in your wording. And we will see when I'll be showcasing to you the questionnaire that has been framed exclusively for the experts and for the judges. At that time, what kind of precautions you have to take and how you have to form your questionnaire so that your expert study turns out to be fabulous. Okay, so that is something that we will have to understand. The second scenario is the physical setting. Now remember, Neeraj sir in his recent videos I see, he keeps on saying you are taking your questionnaire and you have to understand कि उस बंदे का मूड कैसा है, आप क्या चाय पी रहे हो, कॉफ़ी पी रहे हो, या एक दूसरे के साथ जोक कर रहे हो, या आप दोनों बहुत अच्छे दोस्त हैं कि नहीं. You see, all these things also matter a lot. If it is for the first time that you are visiting, let's say HDFC Bank, and you say to the gatekeeper, I want to meet the manager, do you think that the gatekeeper will give you that kind of freedom? He will ask you at least 5 to 6 questions before sending. Go to SBI, forget about HDFC, and trust me, meeting the manager becomes so difficult. The gatekeeper will be asking you, आपको क्या काम है? सो यू टेल हिम कि मेरे को ना मैनेजर से इसलिए मिलना है क्योंकि मेरे को अपना इंटरनेट बैंकिंग के बारे में. तो आपको मैनेजर से मिलने की क्या ज़रूरत है? ही विल टेलिंग यू गो एंड मीट एट दिस पर्टिकुलर काउंटर, बिकॉज SBI, आई डोंट नो हाउ मेनी काउंटर्स दे हैव गॉट. You know that I really get irritated sometimes whenever I'm visiting SBI. So you know they keep on telling, and even if you go to the right counter, they will say कि ये वाला तो अभी टाइम लगेगा, आप ना बाद में आना. You know, they again, it is postponed to you. So you know, you have to be very careful with the physical setting also. Like for example, आप नुक्कड़ पे लेके जाके चाय पी रहे हो, ओके, सो क्या वो नुक्कड़ पे चाय पीना आसान रहेगा आपके डिस्कशन के लिए? एक क्वेश्चनर भरवा सकते हो आप लोग? Look at that. Or if you know, the common language which I see among the men is that it's like a sutta break for me. I keep wondering what is the sutta break, because I don't smoke, so I don't know what the sutta. So later on I came to understand that this is like a smoking zone. So can a non-smoker like me and a smoker who's a male can go together in the smoking zone? Can we discuss over there, and can I take out my question and give it to him and say, no, he will say, Ramni, please, it's a smoking zone and you are seeing that I am taking a fag, I'm fagging right now, so not right this way. And I'm telling you exactly the situation how it happens. Now when you go to their desk and you give them the questionnaire, it will say कि अभी तो मैं सुट्टा ब्रेक लेके आई हूँ, अब तुम अपनी questionnaire लेके बैठ गई हो रमनी. Now that is the next question. So you see, you will have to be very careful. Now looking at the physical setting and how you are going to take care of it. Now you know, the scenarios are so fabulous that I feel like writing a paper exclusively on taking a questionnaire and what kind of scenarios are available for us, and you will see it becomes so difficult. Sometimes you get a response, you send a mail to a person, sir, can I meet you, ma'am, can I meet you, can I, is it, they don't even respond also. Now how can you interpret that you know, non-responses kind of a thing? So that's another thing. The third thing that you will find out is respondents or interviewers mode. Now you see, if I'm very good at English and the other person who is sitting in front of me is let's say very good in Hindi language, so do you think that me who is talking to him continuously in English language and he's just looking at me, ultimately a time will come wherein he will say, ma'am आप please जरा हिंदी में बोल दीजिए ना. You understood? Now I face this kind of a scenario quite a lot of times, especially the society where I'm staying. When I go to the maintenance office and I tell the person, the maintenance officer, sir, you know, this thing is not taking place, I need this thing, I need this thing, and even on WhatsApp I'm chatting with him in English language, and I've seen that yes ma'am, no ma'am, not more than that, there is no response that I get. Finally 5th day, 6th day, when I visit the office telling him, sir, मेरा काम तो हुआ नहीं है, तो you know what's the response, आप जरा हिंदी में interaction करिए ना. Now you understood? So again, that kind of a things we need to understand. Similarly, if you are a Hindi speaker and if you go to a English speaker, now you will find out you know, the person will say, oh God, what kind of a person I'm interacting with. So the whole thing collapses out here, the whole thing collapses out here also. And let's see the third scenario. Okay, now you are somebody who is hailing from a southern state. Now the things becomes much more worse because they like to speak either in their mother tongue. The questionnaire can also be in their mother tongue, and when they are interacting with the person, it also becomes very difficult. And you will see at that time the person will say either you interact with me in Telugu, Tamil, or Kannada, or Malayalam, or you speak to me in English language. You see, so again these modes are really important, and you will have to see whether the questionnaire that you are designing over there really is up to the respondents mode or the interviewers mode or not. Now I have seen it, for example, one of my students, she is from Riyadh, and I'm making it very clear. Now, her data sheet was designed in bilingual language. What was that? On one side, she had English, and on the other hand, she had in Arabic language. Now, the entire questionnaire, everything, and the moment she approached to me, she showcased to me, I literally had to go ahead and delete it. Now delete the Arabic ones. Now there were time where in her data sheet I could also observe that there was nothing written in keyed in English language, however it was more in the Arabic language. So I literally have to ask her, can you please translate all these things? And it was not just one or two, so that I can even ignore it. You see, it's a data set. Now in the data set I have to maintain my ethical integrity values also. I cannot just delete it for the heck of it because I'm feeling uncomfortable. I cannot delete it because I did not get her approval, because this is her data set and not my data set. We are very possessive about the data set. The third thing comes in, because it's in bilingual language, does that mean that the language that I know, I can retain it and retain all those sentences which are in Arabic language and eradicate them? I cannot do that. So ultimately I had to go ahead, take the help from the Google translator, and translate the Arabic sentences also to see whether they are correctly translated in English language or not, because when they have to be the same. Little bit of diversion also, little bit of differences also creates a problem for us in going further. And because we come and the laws have to be maintained, everything has to be taken care of. So you see, these kind of difficulties definitely come across for us. So this is still between the questionnaire designer and the respondent or the expert or the judges who are there. Next comes the regression effect. You see, when you come, as Neeraj sir tells us, again I'm taking his, because he is the only resource person whom I have seen who says the moment you get your data in front of you, after taking care of the missing values, gaps, whatever they are, data cleaning step, just go ahead and run the line of regression. Now you see how many of us now later on, at first time, okay, I was very naive, and since I consider him to be the best teacher for me, from whom I have learned the quantitative analysis, and completely I copy his style only, even in writing or whatever, like blindly I follow his word. Now the question arises, when I was learning about the reliability, especially now the question arises, what do you mean by learning? Now there was some course for which I had to be present, and in that it was compulsory for me to perform the reliability test, and especially at this one. At that time I understood what is the importance of running initially the line of equation, the linear equation line for your data set. And this is exactly how it will be helping you for your reliability. So I would recommend, please go ahead, and this is the fourth step that categorically and blindly you have to follow. The next one, the fourth one, is the nature of interaction that is taking place. Now, you see, interaction, when we are talking about, we are not just talking about variables or our objectives or the relationship between the variable or between the IDV and DVs. I'm not just referring to these things. There are more than these things which are taking place, and you will have to focus upon the interaction things also. Now, when we talk about interaction, we all know that we have arrived to the multi-level of interactions, and definitely yes, with mediations and what we call it as the moderator. And not only these things, the play between the various variables that are coming in. And now when you will look at the analysis which is taking place at the level of R or Python, you will see that yes, they are talking about after discussing about the regression, immediately they are talking about what I call it as AIC and BIC, and the steps why you require it and in what manner. And not only this thing, they talk about bootstrapping and going further things also side by side. So you see, it's not just these points that are necessary and you are carry forward. Look at the bigger picture of your research. You're starting off with something, and the moment you complete it, how the things are changing and what all things are associated with each other. Now that is what I call it as a bigger picture, and I would say that these are some of the reasons affecting the reliability. Now you need to focus upon these things initial level. Let me show you more factors and more reasons affecting the reliability in my next video, and you will understand more about your own data also, data and questionnaire. Till then, thank you for watching. Take care. Bye.